Who started?
Yolanda.
Oh my God.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but some of you haven't noticed that we've changed our name to Sugar Curate, because just this evening when I was leaving home, somebody asked my mom where they could find the shine. She was saying it was the shine, but the name changed. For everybody wondering, yes, the name has changed, and it's Sugar Curate.
The platform that we stream on.
Is Sugar Curate, right? So let's lighten the mood. Everybody seems a little tense. How is everyone doing this evening?
Speak for yourself.
Great. Another week COVID free. God, thank God. Sakya.
Right, another day after a year of battling. Yeah, Sakyan.
How was the week?
The week was a good week, man. Smiling. Oh, that's the thing with these masks. You gotta announce what's going on.
You can see it in the eyes.
It helps us to mask our emotions.
But you can see it in the eyes. My eyes will give it away.
Your eyes will give it?
Yeah.
You squint now?
I guess if you roll them,
yeah, you're going now. You can see the eyeballs them. Doing that kind of thing.
Alyssa?
How was the week? The week was good. It was busy. I actually had a bad stiff neck this week, so I only had to go to the ER. Because it was literally my whole neck here was pulsating. So I actually had to take some painkillers and muscle relaxers. So that's what I've been on since Thursday.
Well, funny enough, you took the shot for us to find out that. Very sad.
Yeah, I weren't interested. But
Oh, okay. But guys,
So don't worry about what's going on with your neck.
I don't know how many of you guys read the disclaimer that came on before the screen, and just for all our new viewers, we want to remind you guys that you ever wondered if there was a forum for you to express your unbiased, unapologetic, raw opinions. If you've ever needed that space, the show is that space for you. So when you come onto the show, you expect to get that from us. That's what we give you. We give you our raw, honest opinions. So don't take anything personal. We also invite you to express your personal opinions, and we will read them out loud on YouTube. Well, anywhere, but on YouTube, I will be watching the stream. So head on over to YouTube, and if you have your unapologetic opinion too, you want to be read, I will read it from YouTube.
Let me introduce this topic.
Yes.
Okay, guys. So thank you, Yolanda. Again, just to reiterate, it is a safe space. So sometimes you may see us up here arguing and say, "Yeah, Maya, sound like confusion." Yes, because what we want to do is we want to provoke you guys and to provoke your thoughts and your mind and to initiate a conversation. So tonight, the conversation we are having is generation gap. We are a youth show. We aim to just have young people on this show. We empower young people. However, there is a significant gap between all of the generations in terms of our parents, which would have been baby boomers. Well, my father would have been a baby boomer. And then there's us, the millennials, and then there's the Gen Z, and then more
Just identify the Gen Z first.
Generation Alpha.
The person's like
Sakyan.
Like what? Like me with what?
What year did you what year?
you
Well,
born?
which category, just in case you don't want to give out your
I'm a
age.
baby. I'm a baby bloomer. However, they call
Baby
boomer.
boomer?
I'm a
Yeah,
baby
okay.
boomer.
And the most recent generation would have been the baby alpha.
Generation
The
Alpha.
generation alpha.
which is after what? 1997?
No, 1997 is
2010.
Generation alpha
Gen
is
Z.
2010.
2010.
So when
after.
you're man?
So you're a Gen Z dog?
Man, a Gen Z.
Yes, he's a Gen Z.
I'm a baby.
And we are
boomer.
above you with the millennials. You know, so you could learn one or two things from us.
He can learn just one or two things. He can
But
learn a lot from
I
us.
is the issue.
How?
You are millennials and baby boomers is why we have the issue of climate change today. But anyways, we ain't bother. Anyway, we here.
That's why we're here, because we're discussing the topic of
Generation
gap. But we also that's not why we're here.
Wait.
We want to bring the evidential change that we have seen between us versus, if not the baby bloomers, the Generation Jones or Generation X, Zennials, the Millennials. We want to be discussing
the culture between all of. Well, we won't be able to speak for certain generations, but we could
from
see
observation. Yeah.
So the first thing, the music How has music changed throughout the generations?
How has
Music,
it been? How was
then-
the first? How was the first?
Well,
how
none of
will you
us could really
describe
talk
first
about
set
the
of
older
music?
school music, so let's start there.
Maybe we
But I
can't talk
think-
about it.
Because we weren't there, we didn't live through it. We lived through it through our parents, but we didn't experience
So you
it.
never
with the-
listen them?
We listened to them, we were here
Yeah,
just singing
man.
before we started
Go
with
down the
Sally
ter-
whining.
Go
on
down the
your boom
terminal
boom.
at Saturday time. You hear all of them.
It's true.
I think
Yo,
the
it's-
thing is that the generation Alpha is who probably, which is the last generation, is who probably could definitely say, yeah, maybe they don't know anything at all, but I feel like us, the millennials, like I was telling them I could sing like the entire Patricia Ross City just from being exposed to it at a young age, and you know, that's how my family used to. That's why my aunt actually.
So
she
we got a
used to
little
listen to.
unscripted thing that we wanted to do for the cast, which is
Um,
we just wanted to sing one
Just
paragraph
So,
or one verse of
you
Patricia.
know, sometimes you have to
Come
recognize
on.
that certain talents are not yours, and I accept that singing is not
Okay,
mine.
just give us
I am a
one
show
line.
singer.
Just give us one line. Just give us
So,
one line.
Let's go back.
Can you just give us one line?
She's
Ayana,
saying
you think
on
she
it.
should give us one line,
We
right?
could fully acknowledge that.
I think Joyce is at home watching right now, saying, "Let me see if my good teachings rub off on Jolanda." So just give us one line.
we could,
We are unscripted, right, Ayana?
Yes.
we could fully acknowledge that the vulgarity in the music has definitely increased. It's not a situation where as
It was packaged.
subliminals like once ago. I mean, before we were having a
For
discussion, and
radio, yes.
Alyssa was saying, yeah, but Sparrow used to have some of his songs just have a vulgar tone, and it's like you really can't compare Sparrow,
Subtle.
who subtle and subliminal messages in his songs, to the now,
Skin out. Kind of vibes, yes.
the now TJ and the,
Even Cardi
the
B, wow.
TJ, the
People
can be like how it's just
Blatant.
cock up your skin out your
And you know what
right
I
on
don't
the
like too? I don't like that the radio stations are playing the non-censored version of these songs.
I never hear the
I never heard a
mean,
nonsense.
yeah, I never heard
version.
a nonsense
No.
on the
Even with
No.
sense, you
Listen,
come on.
I done in the car driving with my father. And we hearing the bad words them and so
What radio station now?
Well,
only
station now.
place I've been exposed
90.7 now?
to.
Because
they
it's
let us play and it's like for instance, even carnival time we have it locally with unexpected. But his song, he had a song recently.
who fucking tell
And
me?
it was like a big, yeah, I think it was that song.
But
But no, that's different. But there was songs that I don't remember what the song is, but I know for a fact Freedom FM don't play.
who
Oh,
I mean,
Censored
it
version.
was
But we talk about bringing your song and your message across subliminally. And here locally, we are, for instance, unexpected. Do you guys think that is an indicator of a subliminal, or is just blatant and vulgar?
which song is
What
that?
do you mean? Who fucking?
Yeah, who fucking?
but it's clever actually.
I think it was unique. I think he deserves a Grammy or a
Every year
Golden
he
Globe
has a great
for
song.
the
Something.
level of his analogy and how he puts his craft together. I really, really applaud him.
Sound
on
like
that,
a story.
considering how he started off. Because he said when Labour was in,
Congress was the king.
Congress was king.
When Pam
When Pam
was
was in, Socrates was king. And now all the people asking is who Tim have for king. I mean, I think he was really a mastermind. And I think the viewers out there would agree with me in that respect and how he put it together and he actually get his whole what the word is? He get his whole, not his verse, his refrain where he able to say who fucking them, who fucking
also,
them. And it was catchy. It was really, really catchy.
He focus.
He really focused.
Yeah.
He focused on the bypass road. Let me just get real quick.
Yeah, and it's like, but even the exposure that we experience at a tender age to this type of music, like, well, not really this type of music, but to the vulgar music, you find the younger generation, some of them actually know more vulgar songs than me. Sometimes I'd be like, what are you singing? As a teacher, I'm like, what are you singing?
You're not thinking.
Stop, but it's like, teacher, my mother does play this every day in the car, at home, and it's like just the exposure, like you're gonna never one, I could have never been playing, singing that at home when I was younger. Nevertheless, my mother played that for me to hear.
Yeah.
And that's even like a bigger change in the generation that you could see now. It's like they pivot to all the
Definitely.
vulgar songs.
I think what his name who died as well, the soca artist, not the soca, the calypso artist, he had died. What was his name? Not unexpected.
He did recently?
Yeah, like no. What his name was?
Ayatollah.
The King Ayatollah, and all like his music too was still well packaged in terms of how he would bring things across about politics and.
It's crap.
But even
You
the
see,
band
you
music,
have to-
the
yeah,
band music too.
Yeah, but you have to like
Only
appreciate
the band
craft
music,
of it.
Wait, let's
Where,
start talking about
where if
music.
you just
Okay.
vulgar, like for instance, I was on TikTok and they have this song called where he said R.I.P.
Sing it, man.
No, wait, sing
Sing
it.
it.
But I know what I mean.
Sing it.
When he said,
We getting hit tonight. We in the
R.I.P.
gym
that.
tonight.
And I'm just
R.I.P. that.
like,
Yeah.
they're just young people
Yeah.
singing these
You know
songs.
what I always
like-
admire too? You know what I always admire the old school new vibes. When I don't know if you remember the song. When in 1980s,
Yeah.
and it was don't stop the music, let it go. Don't
Tempo,
stop the
tempo,
music.
tempo.
You can be music, and that was just carnival. That was a
Yeah.
Juve. That was a hit.
Yeah.
That was a music
It doesn't
video.
have to be
And
vulgar for
people
it to be
still
a hit,
went
yeah.
out and had a good
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And people back then in Juve, they wasn't half naked partying across the road. And then our generation came. You know what I mean? And you realize like our carnival was different. You also had a little bit of respect because you know you could be drunk as hell walking up and you see your
Yeah,
older
thing.
person. You know
Like
you had
music
to.
needs to be censored.
I think it can't really go back to that to be accepted anymore. I think it's hard now for them
It's too vulgar, man.
to tone it down when it's already basically acceptable
Right.
to play
I
and
agree.
have that kind of appeal.
But you think if they had nip it in the
earlier, then yes.
it would have been
Then yes.
good.
But all you can't say that because Small Axe, bro, is all about the respect. Me no want a girl who na bow.
No,
All them things, that's a long time song.
no,
yeah.
but that's fine. But we're talking about
She's
bend
talking
over,
about
But
let
to
me
say
give ya,
ain't just
baby.
getting
What
vulgar.
that's it? Push it back, let me
I
give
mean,
ya,
relax,
baby.
take on a back shot
they
there.
got
But all that was our generation.
Yeah,
That was
but
our
yeah,
generation.
yeah.
No, they got more recent song that said, bend
Collision,
over,
she
let
mean?
me
Y'all cock
give
up
ya,
for the
baby.
baby.
Something like that. And I'm just like,
Cock up for the
guess-
baby.
why?
Cock up for the way, cock up for
But
the
you know,
baby.
people
Let's see
dancing
again.
still. You
But
know,
then
people
sometimes
shoving
too-
back still and dancing and cocking up for the baby for real.
For the baby.
But then I'm also ask, well,
Let's
let's talk on an international or regional level now. You got Patrice Roberts. Patrice Roberts and like
How
what his
vulgar
name
did
is
she get?
what his name is what the guy name is the one who sang the song about she pack on it so he's a if you clothes in a garbage bag they still ain't as vulgar internationally and I guess that's where they're able to reach
Regionally?
and regionally they ain't as
And
vulgar.
internationally too. They play the music internationally.
No, but I'm just saying
That's how they get to
Regional
reach there.
the regional
That's what you
artists ain't really as vulgar, but yet still able to reach the international market and still have that kind of dynamic that still could link Saki and our era and the older generation because a lot of the older people right now, I know you hear them singing Patrice Roberts song which says Tilla old and grey, Tilla old and grey.
Although I could agree to some extent, I could still disagree because if we're really watching a regional level, let's go to Jamaica, where you see real raw, vulgar songs, and they're still hitting the scene
But
internationally.
you think because
So if we really,
Jamaica?
no, you
No,
think because
no, but I just telling
that's
you
the
that-
dancehall culture.
That's the dancehall culture
No,
though.
but what I'm saying is
Dancehall.
that it's hitting the scene international, so it doesn't mean that it has to be subliminal or packaged for it to hit the scene internationally.
Oh, okay.
Meaning that, yeah, it's really this shift in generation as we're
Right.
speaking about because even though the dancehall scene, yeah, you
The
could say
music
it has
only
been
changed.
vulgar. It definitely wasn't. I don't think it was to the point whereas it was more of the
Subtle.
reggae and the subtle
No,
vibe.
you can't
I
say
don't think
that.
it was ain't as bad as it be now. I know.
Beanie Man, pan bed, pan floor against wall.
But guess what? But guess what?
King
Pan
of
be pan for
dancehall,
against
all
all.
of them
But then you ain't hearing.
Mac
Skin out.
Diamond, all of them there
But
have
then,
always
they had a
been.
but then
scene.
guess what? You ain't hearing.
On the window.
Why pan
Go-
like Yeah, hearing the exact words.
So
can't
I
say that. I can't say
think
that.
what Jolanda's point is that it was packaged differently.
It
And
definitely
it
was
also
packaged
was
differently.
packaged more in a respectable manner. If you ain't really listening close, you wouldn't really pick up and say that's what he's saying. Whereas
And
now
I
it's
think
like
dancehall music from
has
Jamaica
evolved.
has always been vulgar. That has always been
That's the
there.
characteristics
Even
of it.
dirty wine, even
ladies, huh? And all
yeah,
them there.
dirty wine.
But what had
I
happened,
can't
right?
say it's. I
It's
can't say.
always
I
been
can't
like
say it
that.
hasn't been. It wasn't vulgar. I'm just saying it's less
Gotten worse.
censored than how it was. Like it's the exact way. The ladies are.
Okay,
Ladies
okay.
are. Me really. I don't want to sing, but yeah, some of the words I'm familiar with because some of them I really like as artists, and yeah, it's totally different. You could walk down the road singing a ladies song, even if you got to hum it, but you think you're really supposed to be walking on the road singing a TJ song? No. Well, it depends on the song you're singing from him. But the exact words, the
What had
listen up the
happened
private
was-
parts openly,
I
telling
think
me how to do
even-
this and how to do that.
I
They're
think-
actually giving instructions.
But then people are also weird. So technically, they're
But
not.
why are people so comfortable with it?
I think
shipping
people. I think there is a
generation.
time. I think personally, there's a time and place for it because
Pure One's
there is
playing
bedroom
this song.
music
Yeah,
that you would
exactly.
actually listen to. Like for example, you know, this song I sing.
No, we're not singing, man. What's that?
Baby, yo.
Cock up your, cause you what? Yeah.
Yeah, like.
Fingernail in the back, you a crab.
And then not only that, as Ayana
Baby,
say,
yo.
I love it when you swallow.
As Ayana say, even if you happen to get a glimpse of something on TV or you overhear something on the radio, you ain't so comfortable going to make it known to your other classmates or what's not. Yeah, I know this or whatever. You're gonna hum it down because you're not anyhow teacher for they're calling mommy, but
think-
now
Like
it's
you
been a
said.
generation where as
There's no
guess
respect.
what?
There's
You're
no
in the class and
respect.
you're singing and the teacher come in and you continue singing and you got
Yeah.
to watch them and say, okay,
Done with it.
okay, done with it.
Yeah.
We definitely have changed.
I also think too, just to add to what Jolanda was saying, is I think that the respect is different because, like for example, I mean, I'm gonna tell Ayana, because Ayana is a perfect example. Ayana came in some house playing a bad boy, and he gonna be like what's going on? You know what I mean? Even in the car, you will kind of turn it down or change something because you know you be watching
When
it
you're
like
pulling up in the house,
you can't pull up outside and you know what I mean. But no, people don't care. Like sometimes you see people home at Saturday time cleaning and going all the bad word and the nasty songs. I mean, it's just like okay, so the parents are allowing this, like that's normal, that's okay.
Definitely.
You know?
The thing is, I feel like I don't know you want.
No.
What had happened was, you see how dancehall had that nasty vibe to it all the time. What happened? It just trickled into other genres of music because dancehall,
Was leading.
soca, and all of that so closely related as well. They just pick off the dancehall music, so I feel like that's how that vulgarity started to end up in these other
Mainstream
genres of music, and that's why it end up so acceptable. Hip hop and all of them things there kind of come from dancehall, to be honest, if you kind of look at it.
Agreed. As we're still on the generation gap, we're gonna now look at dressing and appearance and how you carry yourselves nowadays. And we see a lot of young girls, maybe 14, 15, looking like they're 25, 26. Has that always been the case? And I mean, if you guys are out there, the older generation, feel free to leave your comments over on YouTube. We'll read it, and with young people weighing everything, it would be nice to hear the perspective of an older person.
I would like to hear from Joyce personally. Joyce, I would like to hear how you feel about Jolanda. You know, last week she was very, very extra and dressing very, very extra, and then this week she's very, very toned it down. She's quite respectable this week.
I'm always respectable, just saying.
See, what is considered respectable? But
Exactly,
that's another
'cause,
conversation.
yeah.
Back to dressing and appearances. What you guys think?
You remember when skinny foot was reserved for women, and if a man had it on, he was considered gay or something like that?
Yeah.
That was so dumb. That was weird.
Also to the generation where back in the 2000, 2001, 2002, the Nelly time, it was all about big clothes.
Big.
It was like a big
wear
shot,
medium
a
shot,
big pant,
and you
a
wear-
big whatever. You
and you
buy
wear
two
XL.
sizes larger than where you
But
were.
no, if the tighter you be, the hotter you be as a man.
I wouldn't say that.
But
I wouldn't say that,
for some
but I'm just saying
people,
that I think the
For some
evolution
men.
of dress code has also changed.
Especially in suits.
And then-
You find it in
Evolution.
suits.
While we and men, we have to highlight the pants. Been past your bum crack, going on, reaching down by your, nearly, I would say, going on by your knees.
Yeah, that's why
go
women
down,
are
yeah.
like.
Oh, okay.
That's why women are like.
But that's why I like.
Oh, that's the one
I
that you're
like
attracted
when
to,
the man,
that's
when the
like-
man there pass. If me pass and my pants high, yeah, your girlfriend gonna laugh after me. Trying to pass though he's struggling.
2021.
I don't
This is
believe. Oh,
2021, guys.
but he look good, boy.
2021. We ain't watching a man with the pants and the bum. That's the
You
old
ain't watching
style,
a man
the
with the
old
pants.
So clearly, it takes us back to the type of women they're attracted to.
Yeah.
But
So what are you attracted to, Joanna?
But just-
Yeah,
No, but
let me
just
tell you about that
acknowledge-
one. What are you? What is your attraction?
right now we're speaking about generation gap.
And in your generation.
Like the pick and Jolanda say,
Thank
we're
you.
talking about that. We're talking about generation gap.
It's just we could really acknowledge that, you know. Time I watch like them photos in the album, and you see the men them making sure they have on their belts, the pants is up high and
And the bell bottom and
sharp
all that.
and nice, but then
Afro.
now the skinny jean and the low pants your bum crack, and that's what cute now for the men. But now what about the females?
Even good.
Men don't do things that they find women to be attracted to.
Same with women.
can't say
Women
that.
don't do things that
That
they
ain't
think
they
a man
think a man
attracted
gonna
to.
like see.
So you
Like for
think-
example,
listen,
that's the only
women have this common misconception that, oh, I got to put on a weave down to my bum, long eyelash and a load of makeup. When 9 times out of 10 a man is attracted to a nice short haircut, a nice natural person
tell
who.
all you they're doing it for all you though.
But that's what most of y'all say.
But you can't generalize.
We're not
and say-
generalizing.
Yes, you
We're
are.
talking
You're
about
saying,
majority.
Did you do
I
a
beg to
survey?
differ. I beg to differ.
I hate when people hit me
that.
with the. I'm speaking for the majority.
So what? So
What-
wait.
where's the facts?
So
You feel as if
I would like the producer to pull up
You
the
feel-
source that could verify these two comments from me and Sakia.
You
Yeah,
feel a
put it
woman
up.
put on eyelash and long weave, put on she makeup to come outside because she care about what a man got say about
Of
her.
course.
Positive.
Of course.
It's a question.
Let me tell you something, right?
Can you
I was
put one
in
that
university, right? And there was a girl who had her hair ball like a mine tonight. Ball. Right? And you see
One example cannot
no, I'm just
generalize
saying
everything.
that I just giving one example, but
Yeah.
these are how they
It could be
live.
it could
She
be
would
the
literally
minimum.
put on a wig cap and she put on a brand new wig. And let me tell you, we would go into a club and the men them would be running a dog.
But that ain't she fault.
But
That ain't the reason
But then when she
put
come
on
back,
to
but him
wig
she
cap.
throw me in the car in the taxi, she pulled that shit off.
So,
Let me
but
tell you
that
something,
ain't-
right?
That is not
Men-
the reason why.
Men think that women are catering to their expectations, and I said this because
Yeah,
I don't know
understand.
if anybody have ever seen
Such
me
a
with
patriarchy.
and my man had at one point in
I like
time I
that.
actually
I got
cut
something
off
for
my hair, shaved off the sides, you know, it was a fresh new me, brand new me, and I was showing him the pictures, and Alessa was like, don't do that again. I was like, okay, that's your opinion, but because because in his mind, I like this you, I like this version of you. You
You're
want
not
me,
supposed to stick to
yeah,
that
and in
and
his
conform
mind,
yourself to what he
because
think is
that's what
okay.
he wants. That is what Jolanda will conform to and continue with in the future. She won't shave back off her hair again because unless, like, you know, I'm telling you that as a man, we prefer you this way. And it's
for
just because they
generations
think that
to
we are
come.
adhering to their expectations.
Yeah, for generations,
Maybe
women
for
But
some
that was,
women,
let me ask you a question.
women have
If it
been
was the case,
conforming.
let me ask you a
Wait,
question,
wait,
no?
wait, wait.
Generations, literally, women have always been conforming to what a man expectation is of her for marriage or whatever what the case is. And we're in a modern, progressive, liberal
Society.
women could do what they want, they could dress how they want, they could behave how they want, and they could do what they want. And we don't need a man to tell us like, hey, don't do that or don't do this, or you're only doing this because yeah, we look good. Thank you for complimenting me. Let's move
and
on.
honestly, piggybanking off of Ayana's comment, it just goes to show, speaking about the change in dressing for us as women, yeah, you could definitely see that the dress code is more revealing. You might see the more of the belly out, the more of the legs. But as joining it back to what Ayana said, we live in a liberal society where women are more confident and they don't feel as though, but you know,
We don't need to
I
say-
have to be conservative in order to please a man or to get a husband. Is more of I am doing this for me, I'm comfortable, I like to show my body, this is how I show my confidence. And I guess that could add to the reason why we are actually
If that
more
was the case-
comfortable in our bodies and being more revealing in our clothing.
If that was the case, what you don't put on the wig and the makeup and the eyelashes when you're just home? if you're doing it for you to look good.
Some women do.
What you
Some
doing
people do it.
Some women do.
Some women do it.
Some women get
I
up in the
just
morning
said-
and put on the makeup and cook breakfast.
If it was more if it was
Okay, so
Some
thank you,
women definitely
producer, for this image. This image is showing us
do. How
women,
were
the
so
swimsuits
conservative.
how conservative they were in their swimsuits back in the day. And you know, it's definitely not the image you see when you go over Frigate Bear or over Coco Shell. You might see the bikini, the string bikini, the thong. And yeah, it really goes to show this is evidence that the dressing has in fact changed over the generation. But it ties back to what Ayana was saying, the whole us being more confident and not really trying to please the men. I'm not gonna say all women are not trying to please the men. Definitely may have some that's trying to gather the interest of the men, and so maybe they might want to show a cleavage or what they may have you. But essentially, it just goes to show just evolving as women and saying, like, you know, this is me, this is how I show my confidence.
I just want to add to Jolando. I did not mean anything personal about your manhead era. I just want to clear the air about that topic.
No.
And I also want to say that you having a nice short haircut looks far better than you having a long ass weave down to your bum and no load of eyelash and no load of makeup and no load of nothing. So that was the ultimate point I was just making.
That's the perfect one.
That's
That's fine.
So moving on.
Technology. So technology, very, very important point when it comes to generation gap, because I think that this generation has the peak of technology right now.
Of course.
They have literally the peak of everything, not only when it comes
Resources.
to like not only that, but when it comes to like electrical stuff, solar stuff,
Renewable energy.
all of these things. Technology is just at its peak. And I think that because it is at its peak, a lot of these children are now exposed to the good and to the bad. Whereas before, we just used to go home, go on Hotmail, MSN, Facebook, and that was it. Like, so that was with social media. People used to go on other things, but now you actually have the world at your fingertips.
By walking around with a smartphone. I just wanna add to what you said. I know your Auntie Willow, for example, when she went to university 100 years ago, she would have gone with what we call the encyclopedias, and by the encyclopedias and having something to study was like the thing, the goal. And all that kind of narrowed down into our generation where I still remember, I don't know if you remember, I could talk for you, but when internet used to be the dial-up, like literally when you want to go on internet for 2 minutes, is like, you have to say, okay, no, me ain't gonna call for like half an hour, and you're on and you say, wow, welcome to the World Wide Web, and that was a big deal.
And you started loading
and you loading and you load all there, and then you had to have the computer in the living room because you had to be close to the phone and them kind of era. I mean, just to show you I've lived through that. I've also lived through how the airport was at Golden Rock, and you see how the changes are in terms of technology and stuff like that. So I'm just saying, I remember American Airlines used to have 100 people there working. Now you got a kiosk. So it just shows you go up, you put on your passport, you print up your boarding pass, and all these things have changed. And also to add to what you said, Diana, in terms of technology, is that, like I said, we didn't have a cell phone really. I think I got my cell phone when I was in Fourth Farm, going into Fifth Farm, that era. You know what I mean? So it was moving from one desktop in the house versus now everybody got a laptop, which is expected. Everybody got an iPhone, everybody got a tablet. So they got all 4 or 5 devices that you have data accessible all the time.
So let's jump into some of the comparisons. So we could watch how we started with the beeper, pager.
Yeah.
And then
you used to go to buy somebody's house and then your car.
But not only that, you have the handheld with the wire,
and
with
then
the card,
went into the
and then you went
cardless.
into the cardless.
So you know you could have gone in your room and talk. No, you ain't got to be in the front room talking to your friend.
And then also when it comes to as far as the beeper, which is something that's mobile, we could look at the evolution of the Nokia, the Samsung phone way back.
Yeah.
Now, even Samsung,
the smartphone,
the BlackBerry.
It was
way
Nokia.
back.
I think Nokia was like taking over.
And then guess what? Now we have access to the YM2 games, the endless games on the internet. guess what we was subjected to when it came to the internet? The snake going up the thing, you pressing the button. Remember that game? Saki and you lift to the
Yeah, man.
You have the Nokia,
the
you
black
press
snake
it.
and everything you eat, the thing the snake get long go. And you can't put up on your tail.
You watch the BB, you had BB Messenger. You had Sliver. I had a Sliver and I had a BB.
I just wanna identify that last night when we were talking about this topic, right? Sakian did not even understand the concept of VHS. And if you all know VHS, it was them big cassette that you used to have on your VCR and you actually play the tea up and you had to rewind and you see it when the people move across real quick. Like, it just to show you how the generation has changed. Changed. And also to just pick back up, when we talk about generation, look at them. Like Saki and Ewa, you literally could go in your room and on your phone all the time. But remember when if I wanted Ayana, I got to call and then I hear, Uncle Sam, good night.
Ayana dear.
And then he gonna say, Ayana has homework. Ayana can't talk to you right now. You know? Just to show you how the generation has changed.
To add also, Jalanda, you mentioned the fact that, you know, even when we had our smartphone, which would have been like a Sliver or a Razor, we didn't have access to the world, as in like you could go on Instagram right now and see a face that you ain't even know. So like taking it back to being on your Razor, you only had your friends in your circle on your phone. You only had people who you know on your phone. When Lime used to get them fit text for the hour.
My mind was jumping shit to the fit text, right? Because when coping the mobile data, when you go home, you know, you go on the computer and that's when you talk to your friends. I'm outside using your phone. But then we had the fit text in class. We ain't supposed to be texting, you know, but we had the little minute in class. We texting for free. Within that time,
I just want to add, right? Yeah, remember infrared? When you want to send a video or something from your phone, you have to go by the other person's phone and match the infrared for things to send. And now we got WhatsApp, you could literally send it like nobody business.
But then Bluetooth, that song there
to me.
Literally, that was it first, Bluetooth. But then when you watch, you watch at the iPhone now. We literally have how you could sync all your passwords on your phone. Sync your credit card, so even if you want to go purchase something on your iPhone, you tap it and it's like, use this credit card, tap yes, purchase one time. It's up safe and secure. Like even the use of cards and what's not. I had an example already. We was into our parents and what's not was more into like cash and check. Now everything is you don't take card, and if somebody don't take card, we highly annoyed. Like I only got my card. That's me. I am one of those people who have my card most times, and it's like if you go by a business, and it's like I want to buy family, you know, but let me just go into KFC drive-thru because I can't deal with the going to the ATM situation. That's just how it has changed so much.
And I think you also improve the conveniences and you also expedite the process too, because the time it can take for you to go make change for me, make change for you, make change for that, and I could just tap. It speeds up the process.
Now we watch from the swipe to the tap.
I don't even remember.
The pin is
tap is
the last. Tap is the last.
Also, it's
back in
swipe, the day, you push it in, you put in your pin, and then tap, which is the last. And even by the ATM, once upon a time, well, some banks still have it where you're putting it and they take your ATM card, they suck in your ATM card, but now it's pushing and pull out.
Yeah.
So you don't have to risk your ATM card being stuck in the ATM. You have to go query to the bank on Monday.
I'm gonna have to take you a little further back. Back in India, when you wanted to rent a car, right? You used to have the paper manual system where you have to put on your card and you take this big kind of like scanner thing and you run a copy over your card. You have to literally pull across, like whoop, whoop, and you make like a hard copy of it. And that is what you used to use as a swipe. That's where the whole swipe concept comes from.
But guys, I want to take a minute to acknowledge that Sakian is super quiet. What generation is Sakian is in again? Because it just goes to show all these things have stopped. Like what generation they have stopped? What generation you in again, Sakian?
But ain't that they stop here because I think it has been
not stop, but
notorious
exposure to these things.
It's not that I'm not exposed because I could have been, but he had a lot to do with the demographic that you grew up in.
Definitely.
Your social status in terms of your class, because think it's ain't at the forefront of technological development. So them same
VHS.
VHS you were using.
A lot of people didn't have them in the home.
Exactly, because they can't afford it. That's the thing. And I was probably in that part where they can't afford it, so we ain't had that. So we were still outside playing marble and all of that. So it's just ain't that I wasn't exposed because when I was born, it's just you know.
Some of you is when you was born.
I don't think so, because a lot of them, because what happened to, right, everything that started expensive, it get cheaper over time when it becomes obsolete, right? So the VHS, like that for example, when that it just dropped, only rich people had that. But then when they drop CD and all of that after, the VHS is all about books people that got them thing there. So then when the CD them drop is when the books people get the VHS. And then that's when I probably would have been exposed to it. I just don't remember, to be honest. I
remember. I used to have
I had a sidekick, something. When you
a Walkman.
No, boy. Remember those?
Wow.
I mean the flip phone. Oh Lord. I mean the flip phone.
I was going to say two things. I used to have a case full of CDs. CDs. And it's like you want to play music, you gotta look for the CD and you gotta play the whole album. Whereas now you can skip between the songs and skip between artists.
It's Smart TV.
And then Smart TV has take over.
And it's like, yeah, it take over because I was one with the whole VHS and
when we was younger, the movies down there, only one movie used to play for how long? Now the movies here,
I remember in there,
blockbusters. Now you're on Netflix, watch it. You ain't even need to go to the movie.
That's a really good point.
You can watch a really good point.
That's a really good point. The whole evolution of that.
Just answer his question, man.
What?
So the movie, don't they used to get a lot of that?
You used to literally be so.
No, you used to get
I don't remember having to be there and scrunch up, but I remember the horror stories. I just hoping that when I go to the movie.
Something you see now and you're like, what do you feel on the airport? So you got to go to so.
I've never felt any. I just remember the horror stories and thinking when I go there, I hope that is not my experience.
I remember that movie, cinema, right? You used to literally get break, intermission, halfway through the movie. I used to say, how do you ask them to know when to stop the movie? And you go down in the cafeteria, like the canteen thing, and then we got like the popcorn and the whatever. And you go back up, sit down quick, and you sit down and watch the rest of the movie. That's how far we come in saying.
So wait, the funny thing is that
I used to buy food from the place with all them, right?
Yeah, popcorn and
so.
But you know, the funny thing is that some other Caribbean islands are not even that advanced when it comes to like movie theaters.
Jamaica still got
and Dominica, they don't have like, in Dominica it's not like a big Caribbean cinemas. It's more similar to what our old time movie theater. It had a name? Movies. Yeah, like we like us.
As I said, it got a lot
really
to do with
advanced.
It got a lot to do with the technological development in terms of what is accepted and how fast it is accepted.
Of course.
Technology is a great thing.
When we're going to see electrical
I remember,
cars,
right? I don't know if what primary school you went to? I remember when I got to Newtown Primary School, right? Just to show you how.
Primary school?
You went Newtown by?
Of course.
You went to primary school as well?
Mr. Charles, man.
We have an army here. Ayana, you are the outsider. This is news to me. Ayana is the outsider, but let's go.
Actually, I remember going to Newtown Primary School, right? And I remember where the computer lab was.
But yeah, down the body
on the corner.
In the corner.
Right there by Miss Payne, and Miss Payne went on the corner, and he had the lunchroom. Listen, I remember when you get 3 computers in there, it was like a big deal. Everybody was like, they didn't want to touch the computer because it was just like, no, you can't go in there. I remember Miss Tota used to be in there. And when you go in there, it was like a big deal. That was the only AC room in the building. But to show you how far the situation has come. You know what I mean? When you go down in there, you got to sit down, and everybody can say, wash your hand, don't touch nothing, don't touch nothing. And you're like,
it was intense.
And then you go to high school.
Lean up off the computer.
Don't touch it, and you used to cover it down, and you got kind of plastic and stuff for them. And then here what used to happen after. I remember when you go to high school now, you had a bigger little computer room. Just to show you how the generation of wash it down on the left side here by the canteen. And then you had maybe like 6 computers. So just to show you how
and then the advancement of bringing your laptops is more now you want to scan the school computers, because I have my MacBook Pro, I have my this, I have my that. May feel like going on the slow computer there.
But when you think about the generation where the people actually got free computers in school, that in itself
speaks volumes.
Of course.
That was my error.
Even in
I
this, even on the, like from
I
the
get the
last
last
administration
domino.
to this administration. But guys,
Let's move on.
So let's move on to the
now
next
another
topic.
sorry to just flow right into it, but you know time is running out and we have so much to talk about. But another area of generation gap that we need to kind of chime in and hit on the surface is values and morals. And I want to introduce this by saying, as we talk about technology and exposure, I think values, morals and beliefs has deteriorated because of this exposure to the world.
Of course.
Now, you know, exposed to it as we grew up in Christian like family and households and those kind of things, and you're only able to do certain things. Now you're exposed to the world and say, okay, well, are the children living like this? I want to live like this too. You know, and I think that exposure has definitely deteriorated a lot of the younger generation, the home and the younger generation morals and values and what they find to be
Acceptable.
It had a lot to do with children, raising children as well. You find a lot
I think that was always
That's
there.
what I'm
I
thinking about.
think that was always there.
I don't
But
think
they were more
but it was
mature.
different
They were
because
more
if you're
mature.
young and you got a child, your grandmother mostly taking care of the child. Back then I would
and you
have
was
seen.
more mature. You had responsibilities. You don't.
Yeah, you used to go take care of little go to them and so and that kind
And
of
then
vibe.
I face I'm sure you guys have heard this
cold.
say it takes a village to raise a child. Now it's in a situation whereas, you know, if let's say you get in trouble down the road, you know, you're gonna get a whooping from the person, you're gonna get whooping from the individual, the adult that is there, and then another whooping from your parent. That ain't happening now because the first thing your parent, don't touch me, Evan child. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, you ain't push this.
You ain't push it. I mean, you go home, nobody gonna run picture and right there and then as a child you feel you're right.
Yeah.
Because you are not corrected, even if it's a situation where as you're taught that nobody else should lay hands on you. But the discipline totally goes out the door in a lot of situations. And
But like you said,
I don't know why we
the
used to
home has
normalize
also
that.
changed too, because before time we had, I think most of the Saints households had extended family, meaning you grew up in a house where you got your mother, father, your sibling and your grandmother, or at least your grandfather in the house. So the grandmother played a role, the mother played a role, and the father was 9 times out of 10 the breadwinner in the household. Now you find a situation where you got a lot of single family homes, and even in the nuclear family homes, you still have this situation where I got my degree, Jolanda got her degree, Jolanda teaching, I work in hospital, we really got time to go home, cause Friday Jolanda gone lime, I gone lime, and then we only really got Saturday, Sunday to really spend 3 minutes with the house.
And then now in modern day life, a lot of people are more looking to the nanny to raise their kids. I don't know if it's such a norm here, but in some households. And then, just giving an example, we could look at the shift when it comes to the whole dating arena. As a younger child, as a younger person, we could look at the whole dating situation. You dare not let your mother find out that you have a little boyfriend or a little crush in school. But now it's a situation where as you're full blown walking, holding hands, you're kissing, you're sitting down on this person's lap, you're lying to whatever, you're gone home, you're gone to bed, and you're back down the road with, go hang out with XYZ till whenever. And
or you hear them saying they're going to sleep over from since they're 16.
another
And know what you were,
thing,
that could have never happened.
And so after school, you had to be home at a certain time.
And guess
6
what?
o'clock and say in your uniform.
Listen. Listen here. My mother is the type that. It's don't light the lamp to look. You know, you ain't got to light the lamp to look for me. I'm gonna say it just so she does say. So first thing, from the time I see a call coming, you may never miss the call. And one time because I never miss the call. So some sirens, I don't feel like I'm gonna hear some sirens coming out. How come looking for me? No, you know, ignore once, reject. What she harassed me for. And then the parents them is like, man, understand and then she come and then the child come home and it's like, you know, they had to try to get social services involved because the child ain't listening and you know, they lack a lot of discipline.
I can't believe you used to normalize that.
And also too, you know, I find funny is like if I was on the road and some people say, you know, that's Sam daughter, you know, Joe and Frank's child, you know, they're gonna just say, me? She come, I'm gonna pass for her, I'm gonna pass for her and carry her home. And they're gonna say, jump in. You know what I mean? But it's just to show you how funny it is, like people was.
My boy tell me, you don't on this show, everybody know people there, girl. Everybody. From your
Everybody don't know.
auntie to your cousin
Okay,
to your.
but and then even so it goes on to like as you talk about with beliefs and morals, it ties in with religion.
I don't
too.
mind, to be honest. I don't mind all of this change in terms of what's acceptable in terms of discipline and so.
What do you mean by that?
Because to me, when we normalizing this man hitting my child, well, because he see you doing something wrong or he see him doing something wrong or anything like that.
But
When
then,
we
but
normalising that.
then the parents can always be there. So if an
And that's the
adult,
problem on the
If
parents.
the argument is hitting, okay. If the argument is disciplining, that's different.
That's different, but we said hitting within specify in terms of discipline because personally I wouldn't hit my children them like that when they come up. I find that kind of stupidness for them to do.
but then
They in trouble,
at what
I'm gonna be
point
like-
do you, if they're ignoring you boldly? Because the children are bold.
You can't. That's the problem.
How do you
the
correct
thing
them?
is, people, you correct. What happened,
You know,
right?
belts, it's very-
What you gonna do? Say, son, I don't like how you're talking to me. What you gonna do?
Crazy? But who you talking to, sir? Okay, what
So what you gonna do?
But it's just the thing is, Alester. They only do certain things if they feel they could get away with it.
I
Get
don't
away with
think
it
so.
how?
I've
like-
been around my baby cousins and my baby
I'll
cousins
say, let me finish,
in a
man.
different generation. They're bold. You will be saying, stop.
Because it's
stop.
not what the parents allow them to
Because
do.
there's no fear of repercussion. Oh God, watch your
Exactly.
dishes. That's okay. But you have, I think, fear. Beating your child was always a way to instill some sort of like,
Fear? Because they wonder.
some sort of like,
Some discipline that could
not
actually...
discipline, but like authority. Like I am the mother and I am the thing. And I think that being able to say like, yes, I can punish you, I can do what I want with you. That child now
Knows that to the action there's a reaction.
Yes.
And there's a understanding to them that whatever they do,
and
Then
ain't a little smack and a little flick. It's like, yo, I could slap you. Wait, no. You know?
But
not
then-
to
then
say, not
that's-
to promote abuse or whatever, but just for the child to know, like,
But guys, tying in the whole conversation of values and morals, let's look at the religion. The whole idea of
Atheist wasn't a word.
attending
That's the
church.
thing.
The whole idea of
time.
attending church, like, you know, I was giving them an example every Sunday. Yeah, you could turn and you could tell my auntie and my mother how tired I be, but guess what?
you can go
Your bread and cheese on the table, your tea on the table, come fast. You ain't gonna be late for church, you're going to Sunday school, yeah, come hurry up. But now is a tired man in the mood. Oh, that's your business, you know? The God, Lord watching you, and you're going to church left your child.
but also
That's the difference. That's the
But I don't see
also
It
too,
is-
I think
it
it was a difference to where something makes you wonder because like if I go, let's say me saying it's tonight and me saying it's done 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock and you get up and go church or we go to some party, is it really the right thing coming from quote unquote a sinful place and then go to church or go up at the choir Sunday morning? Like it all the things that make you wonder too.
Saki and you have something.
What I don't like, thanks, I am. What I don't like is just why that's an issue. Like what we need to realize is things that people used to do or what people used to normalize for 20-year-olds we'll soon have to normalize for people that 15 and 16.
Yeah, second time.
This shows a real rough back. But yeah, it's like what we need to be cognizant and aware of is that things changing, things happening earlier. People doing things that you would do when you're 20. Back then, they're doing it when they're 14, 15, 16 now. And I feel like we need to come to understanding of that and just walk around it and walk with it. Instead of trying to bring it back to what it was before and be like, back then I could have never do this year or whatever. Back then you never had a computer.
Yeah.
Back then you didn't have something in Google. Back then when you want to do some, you know, when you want to do dirty stuff, you
You have to basically hide.
It's like,
But to
then-
add to also as we're touching on why people are not as religious are more prone to go to churches, I think that churches too are not doing what they need to do to keep the congregation.
all right.
So
all right.
as we talk about technology advancing
Yes, Sister
and
Franks.
moving forward and just stunning with the old ways and adapting to modern day culture.
Like what you mean,
a lot
like
of
the-
these churches.
The projector and so?
No, some
But
churches
even-
still are
I
saying
mean,
Maybe that's
the
the
old
thing,
heads
they
them.
have adapted
no,
the
definitely,
model.
but most churches have not. A lot of them
A lot.
have.
A
And
lot.
that is
Trust
where
me,
you find
especially
a lot of
Methodists.
people going, and a lot of them are still stuck in their old ways. A lot of them don't want to.
But I think
adapt.
too,
But
I think
I
too,
think
it's
like-
also
Wait, for instance, for like the Methodist Church, Wesley Methodist Church,
Ah,
it
not
used
just
to have
Mesley. Yeah,
an outstanding amount of young people, the sunshine people in the choirs and doing
but
things
yeah,
and
but not
reading the chapters and stuff.
It's the old
no,
people
you
going
don't
in the
see
church,
no
man.
old people, no young people going to that
Even
because
though-
they fail to adapt and to keep these young people.
Even though
think-
I feel, even though I feel, even though I could agree that some of it has to do with adapting to technology and what the people want and what's not. Because let's look at an example, Antioch Church. It's a situation where it's up there, they're very modern, they stream live. When you're going
And
there,
that's where the congregation
it's on the
is.
thing.
And
The
they
congregation
involve
is
the young
large, but what I'm
people.
saying is that there are options. But then we're looking at the overall view that the emphasis of young people place on going to church has decreased, and it goes
It
back.
has decreased
goes-
because your mother is taking you to this church that you have no interest in.
No.
The pastor talking and it's just like, boy, what he's
No,
saying
I
to
mean,
them.
I'm not disputing that. I think that's definitely a factor. But another factor is also the decrease in emphasis the parents place on enforcing the need for you to have religion and
As
be
a morally
involved,
a part
and
of
yeah,
your
to make it
upbringing.
a part of your moral upbringing. The emphasis has decreased from the standpoint of the parents.
I agree.
But
I
you
agree.
see, when you go into church, when I was in church, I was involved in almost every group. Choir. I taught Sunday school, culture club,
Yeah.
everyone. But guess what? You think I told my mom, I want to be in the choir. I want to do this. No. My mom said, you will be involved.
Yeah, but you
I'm
see,
signing you up. You
But
will be
that's not-
confirmed.
that's
No,
not-
but I'm
that's
telling you, but you can't say that's not good.
I'm not
because
gonna-
I appreciate that upbringing that I had.
No,
So you
and
can't
I
really
will
say that that's not
understand that. I
good.
will appreciate parents who get their children involved in certain things. But I feel as though I'm not disagreeing. I'm just looking at it from a different perspective. That parents know they ain't forcing the children to do nothing. Naturally, like they're
Yeah.
not going to force you to say, okay, this is
It's more laissez-faire.
yeah, it's more laissez-faire. Like for instance, I got confirmed at the Methodist Church. I never want. All now I can't say about going on in every Tuesday or whatever. But my father wanted me to be that. But my child, I'm not going to put my child to get confirmed.
And that's really that's
You know, I
that's really
confirm too.
yeah, I
I'm not going
confirm
to
that
get my
everything
child to get confirmed. It's just as I can say, you expose to different things. You have a mindset of your own now, and you know what you want and what you don't want. So
I'm
for
gonna say
instance-
this though. I'm gonna say this. I think that those social groups at that time help to mold the person in terms of other skills, other
Definitely,
social skills that they need to develop.
Definitely.
Like
But
for
you said
example,
social groups. We're talking about social groups, or we're talking about religious groups.
social and religious
the
groups.
groups
I'm just
in the
talking
church
like,
was social.
for example, being
No,
a
but
part
you
of the
need to
choir,
clarify.
then you
Yes.
also going to Sunday school, then you also going to other things like that. You know what I mean? Even outside of that, like swimming and those things help to make you more
Important.
rounded.
Definitely.
Because I've made some of
Parents
the
are the
greatest
importance of
friends.
character molding
I've
in
had some of the greatest friends who I would have met from swimming class on Saturday morning to going football on Saturday morning with Star. You know what I mean? And those still have been my lifelong friends. I'm just saying,
Are you
like,
for
all
Star?
of course.
You guys think not so like for you guys, but do you guys think that they are enough
Social groups for young.
social groups
No.
for young people?
I don't think so. I think it's very, very limited. I always remember summertime they used to go pan scan with Earl Boots Jones, the late Earl Boots Jones, and that again was a social group that helped to mold you. You know what I mean?
Just dance class.
But for women, it's only just dance class.
I wish my mother would chime in right now, because just the other day she was speaking about
yeah, but it's true. It's just a lot of dance class.
just the other day she was speaking about this religious group that we had in the schools. What do you call it? Teenage something. I know you're listening, so you could type it. But teenage something, but it was like a religious group, and naturally the students in that generation were just involved. It would just came naturally. It's not a situation where the parents forced them. It's like it was
something they
natural for them
want
to
to do.
understand the importance of understanding religious instruction.
Because we understand, and I say we because I represent in this group now. Because we have a further understanding of what is happening around us. We are not blind to the reality, basically. Because that's how I see it. We know more exposed to the reality of things. The church is the people. the people in the church is what makes the church, right? We now seeing that the people in the church aren't really good people.
Correct.
The people in the church are the same people that you're going to see on the road, busting bad word. Same people you're going to see on the road, bad minding people.
And then Sunday morning, you're going to see them up there like...
Let's tell them
knocking the
finish.
tambourine.
Let's tell them finish. Church is this, you just find some of the most
hypocritical,
wicked people, to tell you the truth.
Because
Hypocritical, wicked people. And because we see this at this age, is like,
You
why
can't.
would I want to be here? Because now this whole environment
No,
now
you're judging
becomes
me.
a hypocritical place. You know, we come a place where everybody just pretending to be this thing, pretending to be this, what they call it, Christian. So it's like the instruction now, the instruction you're getting from this place now is like, I'm studying that.
and I think
So it's just, it loses value. It's like people ain't really, if they got churches because, or
Formality.
the focus
Formality.
is more placed on being judged as opposed to going to receive a religious
Exactly.
instruction.
And it's like, it's hard to hear this person tell you this is how it should be, this is how God wants it, this is how, you know, this is how it's supposed to be.
But
and then you see them and you're like, you ain't even doing it. How you gonna tell me do it and you ain't even doing it?
You
But
think that's
Saki, I'm
what
not gonna
other
also
people
say
feel
that-
about
that-
Paul and church?
Yeah, that's why he getting so much scrutiny, because it's
But I'm
like,
gonna say Sakian, that whole concept started before your generation.
and no, it started
like
before
in
mine,
our
but it
era,
was,
where you would see certain person who gonna be out, and they're gonna be out Saturday night in the same party you in, and you see them Sunday morning when they, you know they ain't sleep, or you left them out the strip 3 o'clock and you see them 5 o'clock doing this and then pretending to be whatever. So I think that's where the hypocrisy and the levels of breakdown actually come.
I just don't, to be honest, I just don't feel like the church is that ain't that important as it was
Guys,
then.
we're not at
emphasis
the
on the
end,
church.
but I'm not seeing the comments. And I would like you guys to send in your examples. I know right now when you're watching, you could think
yeah,
of
I
some
have something else to
differences in the generations. And yeah, send in your examples so we could hear them.
One more
Go
thing,
ahead.
sorry, we specified religion. When we talk about religion, we specified to church. What happened to Rastafari religion, all these different religious groups or whatever?
I think a lot of young
And
people are
practices.
becoming
Exactly. Especially when it comes to the Rastafari.
Yes, a lot of the young people are becoming
Precisely.
neo-Rastafarian.
And you have
a
to
lot
define
of the young people are
what that
becoming...
means.
Because
Neo means
it's
new, a different type. But
Yeah.
the roots of it is
Is
still
very Rastafarian,
it's still
isn't it?
Rastafarian. However, as time change and become more modern, then the understanding of this concept changes with it.
precisely.
Right? So we're seeing a lot of people who are not even religious but they're spiritual. So they take out the whole Jesus, take out the whole of that, the God. But let's focus on me. Let's see how I could grow as a person. And I find that a lot of
Spiritually.
the young people are now placing emphasis on that. You see a lot of people doing yoga, you see a lot of people saging, you see a lot of people doing this chakra stuff. Like,
Yeah, I could definitely acknowledge that now you are seeing young people tap into different types of religion, definitely. Whether it's Yahweh, is it
Yahweh.
Yahweh. And then
Yahweh,
you may
yeah.
see it's not necessarily, it's more of you being more aware. Once again, this technology, and then so you feel as though I have choices and I'm going to make an informed decision which religion I choose to follow. So we're definitely seeing a lot of the difference in I grew up like this and this is what I believe in, this is traditional for me, is more a shift from traditional values, traditional practices to more of
Modern.
independent modern practices.
But then
More
we're
of
shunning it.
making your own
But then I'm
decisions.
gonna also say
We
too, I
shunning
still
it,
think
it's not.
that the Caribbean is still limited and still a bit behind in terms of the whole concept of religion. I'll say that to say this, right? When you go to private school, I think private schools actually allow or more foster that whole concept of religion and having it more open. Because, for example, when I went to school in Canada, I mean, I could go to my whole university and you have areas where Muslims can go to pray, or they call it an interfaith room, where if you believe in Hinduism, or you believe in Muslim, or you believe in Christian, you can go in
It's
there
a
and
one
pray
place,
at
yeah.
whatever time. Because the Muslims have a certain time to pray throughout the day. Right now, I think in St. Kitts, you're actually seeing a more increase in the Muslim culture. I also see an increase in the Israelites or Israelite culture. Yeah, it's a shift for a lot of other religions who might just say they're Buddhists or they whatever, especially as a result of like the Indians coming in and all these things. So I still think we are faster in that and blossoming into that. I think when we went to high school, I would say me and Yana and Jolando, I mean, like from Mr. Gavera time, it was basically we're going to do this because this is what it is.
But that's why it was in mind.
You know, and it wasn't really no consideration for those persons who might come from a Muslim household.
But it's still like that.
But you think it could be a situation? Actually, I don't think. I think the reason being is going to be totally different to how it is in Canada versus in the Caribbean. Is the population of those particular people there versus here.
Correct.
As you say, more migrating. So it's going to be a situation we have to make room for them now. But out there in Canada and America, etc., they have migrated, I think, even before us Caribbean people over the years. They are in their numbers, and it only makes sense to make room for them and accommodate them. So I think that's probably why we are not there as yet. I guess as more to migrate, then we'll have to accommodate them more. But I think this is the last topic, unless you guys send in another example. But the shift in medicinal remedies, the whole idea of, you know, you got your stiff neck. This is just an example. We shift from stiff neck. I can't even tell you the type of bush, but I had my days when you had to wrap the bush on your neck and you position it, and you know the bush can heal you. And then now it's a situation where you have pills for everything. As a young person, you're not even thinking, Granny, what kind of bush I could use for this? You're going to be the pharmacist to ask. Or even if we have period pains, you know. I, for one, my neighbor has a variety of bushes, and so I would be like, has some really bad cramps. What bush you recommend? And she would give it to me. But I know, let's look at the last generation. The first option is definitely not going to be the bush. The first option is going to be, I'm going to buy some, is either the paracetamol or the ibuprofen or the Advil, or just to go to the pharmacy and see what they have. And guys, just telling you, some of the medicinal remedies, they work really, 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 really well.
Not medicinal.
No,
the non-pharmaceutical.
Yeah, they work really, 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 really well.
I think it has to do with your mindset as well.
Mm-hmm.
They might not have been working, to be honest, but it's because they think they're going to work. It's where you're going to work. Think about it. Why you putting a bush on your neck?
But
when you got stiff neck. No, let me finish. Logically speaking, why you wrapping a bush around your neck when you got stiff neck? And then you know, positioning it a certain way, gonna heal your stiff neck.
But naturally, I'm not.
But I'm gonna add to what you're saying.
I think it's BS.
No, Sakian, a lot of the medical or the pharmaceutical stuff come from plants.
Yeah, but that's what. Well,
So
everything
so
come
instead of you-
from. They put it on the ass. They must come from something natural.
But the mere fact that you're saying they come from plants, I mean, you know that these.
I'm
bushes
not
don't
talking
have an
about the
effect.
medicine itself. I'm talking about the practices. You never hear me say consuming the bush ain't gonna do certain thing. But why you wrapping around a bush around your neck?
If you squeeze it and you rub it and you wrap it on, it then produces a certain type of
oil that would probably think. But I'm just saying, some of the practices are BS. That's what I'm saying. That's how I see it. I see it as it had a lot to do with your mentality, because you feel like this would work or this would do a certain thing. When you go do it now, your body you don't prepare yourself mentally, so your whole body gone. So you're gonna see this change that ain't really happening.
I feel like it's to each his own, because
to be honest,
there are some. From being somebody who have used bush remedies over the past years, I can say that there are some bushes that may not have worked for me, but then I said, okay, well, I'm gonna try this one. I'll try the paracetamol bush, and it worked wonders. So in a situation where I feel as though it's just in your mind,
It's one fix.
you know, it's the same as you go to the pharmacy, they give you this, they give you Tylenol, but the Tylenol did nothing, but the Advil did the trick. I feel like it's the same with the bush remedies.
Correct.
In some cases.
I agree too.
I don't practice any.
And
I don't
so,
get sick.
because they have worked for me, honestly, I have never wished my pain away. It's not gonna go with that easy. But they really have different effects on me. And I guess this is the difference in the generation as well. The disbelief.
It's not the disbelief. It's just
you kind of say.
Why the life expectancy was so low then? if you had all of these bush remedies and all of that, why these people's doing
I mean,
at
not
42?
neglecting the fact that
Normally.
we needed advancement in medicine. Not neglecting
Oh,
that
you say
fact.
you're acknowledging that is
No,
an,
but I
is
mean,
an advancement.
let's look
That's
at,
what I'm
let's
asking.
Let's look at, no, not. but
You
let's look at
acknowledge it as an
cancer patients.
advancement.
You think you could rub a bush and the cancer gonna cure?
You see it as
That
an
is not what
advancement.
Sakian is saying.
That's what I'm asking. You see the new medicinal practices
Benefits.
as
Sakian
in
is
No,
saying-
definitely,
advancement.
definitely.
Okay, that's
Sakian.
so me and you on the same page.
No, we're on the same page.
No,
But
it's
you're,
true, it's
you're
true.
dismissing the bush
No,
remedy.
he's
I'm
saying
not
that
dismissing
certain
it.
practices of it can be considered. Like, why are you doing this? Why not just do it? Or why you gotta put it on your head? Why you gotta put two
Matchstick in the child head
matchsticks
to
in the
give
child
it
head
a hiccup.
to give it a hiccup, you know?
It makes
That's
no
what he's saying.
Hiccup, that's
sense.
What he's saying is certain practices of these bush or certain
But I think
practices-
what he has to understand also is that things are done based on research, and the research over time is what will be improved, and so they will document the findings. So, for example, the reason why you might say, well, putting the aloe vera on your face can help your acne, because research has been done to show that there's a significant correlation between the bush and that. That's why they call it the dosage and all those things. So you can't really bypass it and say, well,
overlook it like
X, Y, and Z. And people have to also realize, even when you're
But
taking
that's not
bush,
what Sakian
I didn't
is
do that.
saying.
I
he just acknowledging that he
said
feel like
certain
some.
practices.
Yeah, but I'm just
Practice of
saying.
it, not the use of it, the practice.
But
Or
when-
the source or anything, I don't mind. Of course, hello. Because what happened to, right? They found out what I feel like scientists did was what in aloe vera, what characteristic of it would help me face to would fight the acne on my face. I feel like that's what happened. So then when they realize like, oh, it working, what in it doing this year then? Why in it cleaning up your face? And that's how they could have created different medicines and all of that, because ain't only aloe vera got the thing that needed to clear your
property,
face.
yeah.
So then they find other means that they say, okay,
Let's
it's
put this and that
citrus.
together and do it.
It's citrus, okay, lime got a lot of citrus. Orange too, so okay, so we must use lime all the time. We could make the medicine for orange as well or something. It's like that's how I see it. You check, but we just can't, man, I just on a different level, on a different plane.
But yeah,
Different
definitely.
A different
We
plane. Everybody ain't
definitely
supposed to
see
do
how
it.
generation has evolved, and we definitely see how the generation have evolved. And I think one of the main contribution to it is just life. Life constantly grows, and as life constantly grows, we get new information, we think
Exactly.
differently, we behave differently. Culture changes over time. There's
What I
no
don't
one
like-
way, there's no stagnant way of doing anything. And then I think that even though we say that it's a generation gap, it's not a generation gap.
I
It's
love
just
that, you
things
know.
moving
Well
on,
done.
moving forward.
and it's just
Things
the evolution
changing
of
as it
generation.
should.
Things changing as it should. We children
Literally,
them.
even climate changing. They want things that's supposed to not change that change. It's like everything.
it's
So it's like
everything
why we shunning? Okay, so what if the music becomes
WhatsApp
more
does
vulgar?
updates every 2 months.
Okay, so what if the music come more
The
vulgar?
pandemic caused people businesses to restructure. I mean, it's all a part of it.
That's
It's just
supposed to
inevitable.
happen.
It's
That's
inevitable.
supposed to happen.
What you think, Jolanda? You look like
She's very quiet
You look like-
and very straight.
you think that there's a generation gap.
No, it's definitely a generation gap.
But what is the
I
gap?
understand. The gap is just the overall changes from one generation versus the next. Like the evident changes. So we can't say
So
that
you
there's an
think
evolution
that's
gap.
just a drastic change between
But we
the
do
generations?
have some
or-
drastic changes based on the examples we gave. You could definitely see that we have some drastic changes. I cannot say that all of the changes are bad. Actually, all of the changes are not bad. I just said that some of them we actually evolved for some of them, and that's definitely true. But you can't say that there's no generation gap. There is gaps. There are gaps. It's just, to what extent do we appreciate the gaps in the that occurred between the generations? And some of them we definitely can appreciate. I guess when it comes to technology, it makes things much easier. I guess even though some of them, as Sakian was saying, some people want to shun the idea that you want to practice different religions and what's not, but just the whole idea of you getting more independent and more free in choosing what you think is right for you.
Precisely.
A more independent society is being created as a result of this evolution. as a result of us evolving. And then, you know, you could look at the bad when it comes to like somehow how some of the morals and values have shifted. I cannot agree with the way in some of how those morals and values have deteriorated. I cannot agree. I don't
Do
agree
not
with
say deteriorate.
how,
That's the
yeah,
thing.
definitely.
That's what I'm against.
Definitely they have deteriorated. When it comes to the whole,
if we're getting more
when it comes to you
worldly,
being disrespectful and
But what is disrespectful? What is considered disrespectful?
okay, let's say
cursing was a big thing then.
me,
Cursing,
I'm not
you bust a
looking-
bad word.
Second, I'm not looking at
You
I'm not
can't be
looking at
disrespectful.
you swearing.
What do you
I'm
mean
looking
how?
at you being trained as a child. That it's not a situation where as an adult speaks to you. Okay.
Oh, you're
everything
talking about
they say.
children being disrespectful.
No, just all of that is part of morals and values. You're not saying, okay, well, yes, I agree with everything everybody have to say. But the situation where it's totally okay for you to stand 4th Street and completely cuss out an adult, cuss out anybody, swear out
Jolando?
the auto curses and whatnot, and that's okay. I cannot agree that
I'm
that
not saying
shift
that's-
in our values that shift is okay. I would
Some
never agree with
things
that.
are unacceptable for younger people per se, especially kids. When you want to classify them as kids, Loisa kids is under 10. Some things are really unacceptable from them, and that would always be, and that's how it is. And disrespecting your parents and all of that, like when you're 10 years old and still trying to fight with your parents and all of that, that would always be unacceptable. But I didn't understand is that I was trying to say. I didn't understand that I mean it for kids. The kids game more disrespectful. When they say disrespectful, in my head they thinking everybody. Because I was disrespectful then.
People
Yeah.
get very, very open.
Yeah.
But people used to wait
Even
people
outside
women
the
back
kids.
then all the time and them.
The only
Like, that's wickedness. That's
Even outside the
disrespect.
kids, it's just on a whole nother
I
level.
mean,
And then
no.
the lack of parental influence, I cannot agree with that bridging generation gap either. I feel as though you need to play an important role in molding your child, and yeah, that's just how I feel. I honestly, I could understand you saying, yeah, let the child do as they want, you get more influence. But no, parents really do play
But
an
let me ask you a
important role
question
in
now,
molding the
Jolanda. We're just playing
children.
devil's advocate to wrap up the point, because no time is running out. Right?
Mm,
Do you think that
Richie.
parents are open-minded enough to understand and trying their best to reach the children where they are
No.
No.
and accepting certain things? Like,
No.
for example,
They don't have
we had the
the time.
conversation after set, and we said, if Sakian at age 11 saying he's starting to have sex or he having certain feelings or whatever, is his mother really willing to understand and say what he feels? So this is a chance for me to try to bond with him. I'm going to be saying, dying on your mind, you're young, wait till you get 16 or older than that. But some of them, they themselves are still persons trying to find a way and ain't really understand how to love him at 11 and also be able to love him at 16 and also be able to love him at 26. You know what I mean? I understand that he's growing as a person too and really, really tap into trying to help mold him at that time, at that critical time when he needs rather than backing at him and thinking that, oh, he in here, he got insects and if he got sex, he could walk. But that ain't really helping the situation because now if he's there and he go and have a child at 13, 14, he only putting the same stress and the current generation to still suffer. You know, so sometimes I think it's so much bigger than, you know, just one aspect of things. I think sometimes the older generation, sad to say, is still to blame in terms of certain things. I mean, yes, you want to allow our generation to be a little bit more flexible, but we too have our role to play. I never forget my pastor in church one Sunday, he did this little lesson and it really, really helped to motivate, mold all of us. He said, if you are 50 to 60, stand up. And he said, just come on, but you look that way. And then he said, let's say you're between 30 to 50. And when you really start, like how we're here having this general conversation about the same generational gaps, you realize who is coming behind us. There's a 10-year gap between me and Sakian right now. So if I could pass on any knowledge to help him to be a better person, to know that I might have passed on just enough wisdom to help that generation to be better than where we were, or which the advice that we could have received from the 38-year-olds, then we could also be better and make better
selfish.
lifelong decisions. Not just that, but I'm just saying generally
It's not
that we have.
When I
we all
say
have a
y'all,
role
and that's where the
to play.
last generation failed. They're selfish. The
I
thing
think
is,
that this generation also
Very nonchalant.
very, very nonchalant. I don't think that
Being on a
they
drive.
recognize
Their impact.
I don't think that they recognize the impact, and just like how our parents would have
Tried.
would have contributed to us mentally and emotionally suffering, we are going to be the same ones who are going to contribute to our children. Because the child cry, what you do? You push a tablet in front of the child. You ain't taking the time to say, hey, what's the problem? Let me help you. A lot of these, our age, honestly, we are the ones getting children at such a young age. We are babies in ourselves. We ain't getting the time to grow and expose ourselves and
Mature.
travel and mature and understand that
Life is bigger than
we haven't found our inner
Niche.
spiritual self to say, okay, I am able now to take this and give
pass
it
it
to
on.
this child.
Correct, because we're still growing and we're still trying to heal from our own issues
traumas. We trying
from
to live,
our
like you said,
parents.
we're trying to live our life.
Yeah, exactly. And so the whole, me starting off by saying I cannot agree with the lack of parental influence in this new generation. What you say, even though you're playing the devil's advocate, it tied back into the point I was trying to make. Because you're saying, are they taking the time to understand them? No. Are they even taking the time to discipline them? No. It's more, as we said, a laissez-faire approach, where you just relax and you're letting them do what they want. And so I can't even really say the older let's say the baby boomers out of we're watching back at the older generations, because it's more of us, the millennials, basically taking the instruction we learned in the past from our parents, the older generation, and now using it to now mold our children, and that's where we are lacking.
Correct.
So I feel as though
man.
the gap in terms of I don't know if it's the shift, as even when it comes to the children accessing technology and being more aware and making their own decision, if that's what us as the millennials or the ones after us are now doing. They look on the internet and they see, don't hit Peter, I don't want him to be an aggressive baby, don't talk too hard to Peter, I don't want him to be an aggressive baby. We know, maybe we think that we should adapt those approaches, because I don't want him to be aggressive, even though that's not what we learned from our generation. So I feel like the technology now comes in and plays a role once again on how we are now raising our children.
I'm going to also add, and then this is my last and final thought for tonight's topic, is I think that the onus is more on our generation to really play that intricate role in helping the generation to come. Because as much as you want to think, I don't achieve this, and yes, I'm this, and yes, I'm that, I still think that the generation to come will also be the ones to ultimately care for us, and have that upper hand at some point. So we still need to be very, very mindful.
You're millennial?
No. Well, where am I? I'm about 92.
I think you're millennial.
Yeah.
97 is the Gen Z.
Do you think that
2010
millennials are focused on having children?
I think we are, but we also are more aware of the burden that and the levels and the magnitude of responsibility that come with having kids.
Emotional too.
So, for example, right now I think we are aware enough that we have enough knowledge to say, I could have a child today, but I want to do certain things. So as a result, I'm prioritizing my life and taking a better stock of my choices. And I also think that, like, for example, I remember one time I was in Canada and my two younger cousins were there, and they would ask me certain questions. Like, we would be watching a movie and then all of a sudden they would say, oh, that's like my dad's girlfriend. And that's when you realize, like, you just have to take that little moment and really try to mold them or have that conversation to kind of encourage the younger generation, even though you might say, well, you got to also tell yourself, well, who is going to talk to them?
Yeah.
Who is really going to be able to reach them? Because their parents can be a little old and can't reach them at that level. So I think our generation now have a real intricate role to play. Because like Jolanda saying, from working in a high school, how much high school has changed since all of us graduated. And you could even see a gap where second is in school now, and how much college has also changed. So I think we really got to play a role in terms of like being a mentor to the younger generation, to also help them in terms of their career paths, better choices and stuff like that.
Exactly.
I wish that was the truth. I wish that was the truth for most people. Y'all just greedy, man. Every generation before
we are
mine,
very selfish set.
y'all just greedy.
We're very selfish in terms of, not in a negative way, but we're all about ourselves. We're all about making it. We're all about our parents. We're all about paving a way for ourselves. And some of us along the way got children, but we're still selfish with that child in terms of, you're not now, like you say, we're not now taking the time to address the child emotionally and try to understand the child. We still ourselves trying to figure out life ourselves. And I would say that millennials are generally very selfish people. And when I say selfish, again, I don't mean it in a negative way. I just mean that we are about ourselves.
Less family oriented.
We're less family oriented, but even so, our drive is just us. You understand?
And another thing is, I wouldn't just say millennials, because even the baby boomers, I've been trying to do some research on family in the world now. And I get some information from somebody that is a Gen Z. Person got me by like 4 years. Mm-hmm. But then they drop out of school or whatever, so they went into that or whatever. I trying to talk to older man, and so they brushing me off. They either feel like I gonna take over the business, so they want to help me, so they're afraid. Something like that. So it's just they greedy in the sense that
baby boomers is more of a fear.
Baby boom. Yes, you know, baby boomers is way to the beginning.
Yeah, beginning. If them
our parents, baby boomers.
Mama, your mother is a baby boomer.
No, your mother is a baby boomer.
No,
you 42? Ain't a baby boomer?
No.
So we're 42. What?
Generation. Your mother born 1970
your mother
something.
Is like
X.
Gen X.
Yeah. No, your mother actually is a Zennial because she born 1970 something.
Exactly. So we ain't really encountering the baby boomers. We're encountering the Zennials and
so
the
baby
generation.
My father is
a baby boomer.
She father is a baby boomer.
Yeah.
I got a father born
46? 1946? But a long time. More than but yeah, but no, mama got more
So I
than
think
50 something.
let's say the generation Jones and the baby boomers, they more have a fear because these young people taking over.
Correct. And
So why that's a bad thing?
Because they don't know how to pass on the
they know how to
they don't know how to pass on the mantle.
Yeah, they know
So
how
for
to
That's
example,
gonna be an issue with
who
our as well.
adjusted to
not
them.
really. Not
Who
really.
adjusted to them. They had no
So I ain't gonna do that as well.
Of course not, because the job market has also changed,
Come on,
Sakian.
Lester.
Long time ago,
Lester, that
you're
gonna
in a job and you're basically in the job till you either die or you retire. That's how it was. But right now, the generation has changed.
I'm not even for. I had to sell out people for the job right now.
Anyways, guys, we're getting into a different thing now. I hope you guys enjoyed.
I am sorry. I'm not
Okay,
ready yet. I got one more.
Go ahead.
I just hate it, man. Because look how the world would be if what Lester said was only the truth. Like if more people older, like the older people used to only just focus and like try mentor the younger fellas them. Because imagine if everybody in college, right, had a mentor. Like somebody else in society.
Some old people used to, but we was just too young and wild away one here.
I think the approach was
exactly.
The approach was talking to you in a condescending tone and then say,
you're going to fast.
"Our young people think this.
Exactly.
Our young people think that."
I see what's going on, but I was 18 too. Listen, I feel like you should, but this is where. I tell you,
it's the approach.
It's
the advice I get.
think they used to look at it. I don't look at some young people too. I'm like, wow.
You see, all that is based on the social learning. You may think that the approach was harsh, but the approach that they received was way harsher.
Yeah.
So you know,
So it's a generational.
when you look at the generation gap, it's actually watered down approaches of the discipline and the harsh talking and the what's not.
Because I tell my washing on my car, my grandmother car with her, and she was like, "Go inside for something," and I bring the wrong thing, and she said, "But we bring badminton, bring this here."
And guess what?
And then she said, I would have get licks for that there. Yeah, she just said, but I would have get licks for that there.
Yeah.
But I would go back inside for the next thing.
Yeah.
So it's like,
It's what they were taught. It's innate, and it was also nature versus nurture.
So who generation really fuck it up?
I think all of us need to just be cognizant of the situation at hand and play a role in shaping and molding. It ain't got to be your child.
I agree.
It ain't got to be your child. It could be a younger cousin. It could be a friend of the family. Take time and talk to that child because they're gonna appreciate it, you know.
I think also
They're
in more persons.
that one conversation.
I think in more
they're gonna
persons had
appreciate
reached
it.
self-actualization and understand, I was young, I was dumb, and I made certain mistakes, and know how to have that conversation with people. I think they would be better and really able to reach out to somebody young and say, "Listen, I see where you're going, and this is where you will end up." But when you're ready, and even if you
Mommy, it's 10 hours late, but I was in a religious group in high school teen challenge. Yeah, teen challenge. So you remember our producer? Remember teen challenge? I mean, it wasn't too far back, right? Because he's in the same millennials as us.
So guys, we had an awesome
But even that has
conversation.
changed, yeah.
A very awesome conversation tonight, and I think that the key factors that we need to look at is to understand that there might be a generation gap depending on how you choose to look at it. But the best thing for us to do is to be the mentor that we always wanted. That was a good apple, wasn't it? Yeah, we got myself for sure. Yeah, definitely to be the mentor that we always wanted.
And she clapped.
And
We got myself for sure.
let me forget what I was going to say.
I feel like it was good that we highlighted the differences in generation, and so some of our viewers and could be more aware of how things didn't just happen overnight, but it actually grew and evolved over time, and what we might be looking forward to in the future. But it's all about embracing the change, and as Ayana said, when it comes to our values and how we treat the younger generation, treat them how we would like to be treated, we would have liked to be treated, or how we were taught.
Definitely.
So Jolanda and Ayano and Alisto and whoever else here is a millennial, you have one job tonight.
Yeah.
Mentor somebody.
We're gonna be mentoring you. So
Next week.
I can't mentor me.
Next
I
week we
better
got
than
some
fucking
See, I'm taking. This is the issue. This is the issue with how the values
But guys, I want
You
to
see?
highlight.
You see?
Wait.
Let me use no man. No, you can let me
we
use.
done.
No.
Guys,
Get ready to cut it. So
we have 3 more shows left. Our first season is slowly coming to an end. We will be ending on June the 27th, the end of June, the last Sunday of June. And before we get too emotional, we just want to thank you for being with us over these every Sunday at 8 p.m.
Big up
live.
Sophisticated wing.
Tune in, send us
easy.
some thumbs up if you're still here.
Yeah.
Send us
We
some
might got
See you
something
guys next
special
season, though.
for the last episode.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Bevan, maybe bring the band. We might bring
Bye
the band.
guys.
Depends.
Like the page and tune in next week.
Sugar QA, that's sugar.
Don't forget.
CU.
Don't forget, millennials mentor somebody.
Mentor somebody.
mentor
Come
somebody.
back next week and tell
Remember.
us how that situation went. Well, Kev says sponsoring this.
Yeah, they ain't getting no
They ain't
fish
getting no.
sponsor. Lindsay Grant, hello. Hey, ain't cut it yet, no? But hey, the man is something else. Yeah.